Welcome to the session Variational Problems with Fixed Boundaries, Part 1. The calculus of variation gives methods for finding the maximum or minimum of a functional defined over a class of functions. Several physical laws can be deduced from concise mathematical principles to the effect that a certain functional in a given process attains a maximum or minimum. A functional I of y of x attains a maximum on a curve y is equal to y naught of x if the values of I on any curve close to y is equal to y naught of x do not exceed I of y naught of x. This means that delta I is equal to I of y of x minus I of y naught of x is less than or equal to 0. Further, if delta I is less than or equal to 0 and delta I is equal to 0 only on y is equal to y naught of x, we say that a strict maximum is attained on y is equal to y naught of x. In case of a minimum on y is equal to y naught of x, delta I is greater than or equal to 0 for all curves close to y naught of x, and a strict minimum is defined in the same way. An extremum of the functional of the form I of y of x is equal to integral from a to b f of x comma y of x comma y dash of x dx, where the function f is differentiable 3 times subject to the boundary conditions y of a is equal to y1 and y of b is equal to y2 is obtained by the differential equation f y minus d by dx of f y dash is equal to 0, which is known as Euler's equation, and the integral curves of this equation are known as extremals. Here we shall discuss some variational principles which are useful in several branches of science. Variational principle for the equation y double dash of x is equal to f of x comma y dash. It can be shown that any equation of the above form is a Euler equation for some functional I of y of x is equal to integral f of x y dash dx. This can be established by seeking the functional for which the Euler's equation f y minus f y dash x minus f y dash into y dash minus f y dash into y double dash is equal to 0 coincides with the above second order differential equation. This means that there must be an identity with respect to x, y and y dash, f y minus f y dash x minus f y dash into y dash minus f y dash dot f of x y dash is identically equal to 0. Differentiating this with respect to y dash, we get f y dash x minus f y dash y into y dash minus f y dash dot f plus f y dash dot f y dash is equal to 0. Setting u is equal to f y dash, we obtain the partial differential equation dou u by dou x plus y dash into dou u by dou y plus f into dou u by dou y dash plus f y dash dot u is equal to 0. Hence, finding the functional, that is finding the function f of x y dash, reduces to the solution of the above partial differential equation and to subsequent quadrature. Existence of an extremum. We shall point out a characteristic difficulty in the solution of variational problems. In problems involving ordinary maxima or minima of a function, the existence of a solution is guaranteed by the fundamental theorem of Weierstrass. However, variational problems, even if they are meaningfully formulated, may not have solutions. This stems from the fact that it is not, in general, possible to choose the domain of admissible functions as a compact set for which the principle of point of accumulation holds. For definiteness, let us consider the functional I of y of x is equal to integral from a to b p of x into y dash square plus q of x into y square dx, let it be equation number 1, with the boundary conditions y of a is equal to y of b is equal to 0, let it be equation number 2. To fix ideas, we also assume an integral constraint integral from a to b y square dx is equal to 1, let it be equation number 3. We suppose that p of x and q of x are continuous in the closed interval a b with p of x is greater than 0. It then follows from equation 1 that I of y is greater than or equal to integral from a to b q of x y square dx, which is greater than or equal to minimum of q of x into integral from a to b y square dx, where a less than or equal to x less than or equal to b, which is equal to minimum of q of x, where a less than or equal to x less than or equal to b. Thus, the above functional is bounded below. Now, even if the least value of I of y is not attained, we can construct a sequence of functions yn of x satisfying equation 2 and equation 3 such that limit of I of yn x as n tends to infinity is equal to the greatest lower bound. Such a sequence is known as the minimizing sequence for the functional I. If a minimizing sequence yn of x or its subsequence is convergent, say uniformly convergent, to a limit function y of x, then the functional attains a minimum value for y is equal to y of x. In fact, we have integral from a to b y square dx is equal to limit as n tends to infinity integral a to b yn square of x dx is equal to 1. Integral from a to b q of x y square of x dx is equal to limit as n tends to infinity integral a to b q of x into yn square of x dx. But integral from a to b p of x into y dash square of x dx is less than or equal to limit as n tends to infinity integral from a to b p of x into yn dash square of x dx. The last result may appear somewhat strange because one may think that the left hand side equals the right hand side. Thus, we have I of y is less than or equal to limit of I of yn x as n tends to infinity. The sequence yn of x being a minimizing sequence, we conclude that the quantity I of y is the least value and the existence of a minimum is therefore established. Conditions for the existence of a convergent sequence yn of x involve the concept of compactness, which plays a vital role in these and many other problems. A set M of points or elements of a normed space R or a more general metric space R is said to be compact in R if every infinite sequence of points belonging to M has at least one convergent subsequence. Using this notion, we may rephrase the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem as every bounded set of points belonging to a finite dimensional Euclidean space is compact. But every unbounded set of a finite dimension Euclidean space is non-compact. An important feature of infinite dimensional spaces is that their bounded subsets are not necessarily compact, and therefore, the investigation of these spaces presents difficulties. For example, the sequence of functions sin x, sin 2x, sin 3x, etc. is bounded but not compact as a subset of the space C of closed interval a b for fixed a and b. This is due to the fact that the values of sin nx, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. oscillate between -1 and 1 with increasing frequency as n tends to infinity, and therefore, the subsequences of this sequence do not converge uniformly. But it is also possible to prove that every minimizing sequence yn mentioned above is not only bounded but also compact in C of closed interval a b, because in this case the absence of uniformly convergent subsequences would imply that there is a subsequence of the number sequence integral from a to b yn dash square dx, which increases indefinitely, and hence the sequence I of yn becomes unbounded as well. These properties ensure the existence of a uniformly convergent subsequence of the sequence yn, whose limit function y of x renders the functional minimum. An alternative approach to the above problem of existence is due to Townley and is based on the notion of semi-continuity. A function f of p defined in a set of p in which limits have a meaning is said to be lower semi-continuous at p naught if it satisfies the following conditions. A. F of p is extended real valued, that is, its values are real with the possible addition of plus infinity and minus infinity. B. F of p naught is defined and f of p naught not equal to minus infinity, and C. F of p naught is less than or equal to limit infimum of f of p. If these conditions are satisfied for each p naught of the set, we say that f of p is lower semi-continuous. Now consider the variational problem for the functional I of c is equal to integral from a to b f of x comma y of x comma y dash of x dx, where c is a curve y is equal to y of x joining two given points a and b. Then it was shown by Townley that I of c is lower semi-continuous for c belonging to any class k of curves of uniformly bounded lengths situated in a cube if f of x comma y of x comma y dash of x is convex in y dash of x. Further, I of c attain its minimum in k if k is closed. The link between the proof of existence based on compactness and Townley's approach lies in the fact that a closed bounded set in a finite dimensional space is compact, and the well-known Weierstrass principle, valid for a continuous function on a closed compact set, remains valid for a lower semi-continuous function defined on a sequentially compact closed set. The general scheme presented above involves most of the basic techniques for solving variational problems. These schemes reduce to testing that the functional is bounded below, selecting a minimizing sequence, and proving the compactness of the sequence in an appropriately chosen function space. There is yet another way of overcoming the difficulty of not having a convergent minimizing sequence to ensure the existence of an extremum as suggested by Young. It adapts the idea of L-shorts for constructing a dual space and embedding the original space of admissible curves in our variational problem into its dual. To fix ideas, consider the problem of minimizing a functional integral f of x of t comma x dash of t comma t dt, where t1 less than or equal to t less than or equal to t2, where x of t varies along a parametrized arc gamma of finite length. In this context, f and gamma are elements of dual spaces. Let the function f belong to some normed space B, so that integral over gamma f dt is identically equal to the inner product between f comma gamma clearly defines a linear functional in the dual space B star. Defining the operation direct sum as union of arcs, we have inner product between f and gamma 1 plus gamma 2, which is equal to inner product between f comma gamma 1 plus inner product between f comma gamma 2, and inner product between f comma c gamma is equal to c into inner product between f comma gamma, which is equal to inner product between cf comma gamma for any real number c. We see that this functional is indeed bilinear and bounded. Thus, gamma is an element of B star. Now, following the ideas of L-shorts, one can define weak convergence in B star. Such weak limits are called generalized arcs. However, the limitations of this approach are similar to those of the theory of distributions. From the foregoing discussion, it may appear that the non-existence of solution owes its origin to the lack of compactness or closure properties of the family of admissible solutions of a variational problem. However, an entirely different reason for non-existence of solutions of a variational problem may also arise. We pose the following question: when are the initial or boundary conditions well posed for a certain class of boundary value problems involving differential equations? This well posedness in the sense of Hadamard implies that the solution exists, is unique, and depends continuously on the initial or boundary data. Thus, if a differential system is not well posed, the corresponding variational problem is also not well posed. The third requirement above, which is particularly incisive, is necessary if the mathematical formulation in the form of differential equations is to describe observable natural phenomena. Data in nature cannot be assumed have be rigidly fixed. The mere process of measuring them involves small errors. Thus, a poor mathematical modeling of a real life problem may lead to ill-posed differential system, so that the corresponding variational problem may also be ill-posed, as the following example due to Carathéodory shows. A variational problem leads to the following Euler-Lagrange equation as the necessary condition for the existence of an extremum yt is equal to 1 plus xt square all raised to 1 by 2. With the boundary conditions x of 0 is equal to y of 0 is equal to 0, x of 1 is equal to y of 1 is equal to 1. It can be shown that the above boundary value problem is not well posed, so that no differentiable solution satisfies the above system. A simple geometrical example of non-existence of solution can be given as follows. Two points of the x-axis are to be joined by the shortest possible line of continuous curvature which is perpendicular to the x-axis at the endpoints. Clearly, this problem has no solution. In fact, the length of such a line is always greater than that of the straight line joining the two endpoints, but it may approximate this length as closely is desired. Hence, there exists a greatest lower bound, but no minimum for admissible curves. We may now sum up the foregoing considerations about the existence of an extremum in a variational problem. The characterization of such an extremum in the absence of an existence proof may turn out to be nonsense, as in the following example of Oscar Peron. Let us assume that there exists a largest positive integer n. Thus, n is greater than or equal to n for any positive integer n. If n is greater than 1, then clearly n square is greater than n, but n greater than or equal to n square by our hypothesis lends to n square is equal to n. This gives n is equal to 1. Although there is nothing wrong in the proof, the nonsense arises from our original assumption of the existence of a largest positive integer. One may arrive at a similar nonsense if necessary or sufficient conditions for the extremum of a functional are derived, without first checking whether such an extremum is attained in the class of admissible functions. This has a hearing on a basic difficulty arising in the modeling of a physical phenomenon. The existence of solutions in a mathematical model must realistically reflect our physical experience. Variational formulation for a dissipative system. It may be noted that it is possible to introduce a formalism, Morse and Feshbach, which will enable us to carry on calculations for dissipative systems as though they constitute conservative systems. The method is to consider simultaneously with the dissipative system, that is one with friction, a system with negative friction, which may be regarded as the mirror image of the original dissipative system, such that the energy drained from the dissipative system is absorbed by the mirror image system. Thus, the total energy is conserved and we can define a Lagrange function. Consider the one-dimensional oscillator with friction governed by the equation of motion mx double dot plus rx dot plus kx is equal to 0. Using the variation technique, we wish to derive this equation from a suitable Lagrange function. To this end, we construct the formal expression as L is equal to mx dot star minus 1 by 2 into r of x star into x dot minus x into x dot star minus k into x star, which may be regarded as the Lagrange function in the variables x and x star. The variable x star refers to the mirror image oscillator with negative friction. The above L gives the two momenta as P is equal to mx dot star minus 1 by 2 into rx star, P star is equal to mx dot plus 1 by 2 into rx, which have very little to do with the actual momentum of the oscillator. Lagrange's equations for the two systems are mx double dot star minus rx dot star plus kx star is equal to 0, mx double dot plus rx dot plus kx is equal to 0, where the equation for x is precisely the one with which we started. The other equation involves the negative frictional term minus rx dot star. The Hamiltonian is h is equal to px dot plus p star x dot star minus L is equal to 1 by m into p plus 1 by 2 rx star into p star minus 1 by 2 rx plus kx x star. Since x star increases in amplitude as fast as x decreases, h will remain constant. Although this technique is not very satisfactory, even if an alternative method of solution is known, it will still be necessary for studying dissipative system involving equation of the diffusion type given by del square psi is equal to a square into dou psi by dou t. Here psi is the density of a diffusing fluid and a square is the diffusion coefficient assumed constant. Let psi star refer to the density of the mirror image system. We construct the Lagrange function L as L is equal to minus del psi dot del psi star minus a square by 2 into psi star into dou psi by dou t minus psi into dou psi star by dou t. So that the canonical momentum densities are P is equal to dou L by dou psi, which is equal to minus 1 by 2 a square psi star. P star is equal to 1 by 2 a square psi. The Euler equation corresponding to L above are del square psi is equal to a square into dou psi by dou t, del square psi star is equal to minus a square into dou psi star by dou t, where the first equation is the diffusion equation with which we started. Ekelund's variational principle. We have seen that a functional bounded below attains its infimum if it has some type of continuity in a topology that renders compactness to the domain of the set functional. However, in some situations of interest in applications, this is not the case. Take for instance the functional defined in an infinite dimensional Hilbert space, which are continuous in the norm topology but not in the weak topology. Such problems can be tackled by Ekelund's variational principle. This principle has found a variety of applications in different fields of analysis. We state Ekelund's principle weak form as follows. Let xd be a complete metric space. Let further phi from x to R union plus infinity be lower semi-continuous and bounded below. Then for a given epsilon greater than 0, there exists u epsilon belongs to x such that phi of u epsilon is less than or equal to infimum x phi plus epsilon. Phi of u epsilon is less than phi of u plus epsilon into d of u comma u epsilon for every u belongs to x with u not equal to u epsilon. A stronger version of Ekelund's principle is as follows. Let xd be a complete metric space and phi from x to R union plus infinity be a lower semi-continuous function which is bounded below. Phi u bar less than or equal to infimum x phi plus epsilon by 2. Then for a given lambda greater than 0, there exists u lambda belongs to x such that first one, phi of u lambda less than or equal to phi of u bar. Second one, d of u lambda comma u bar is less than or equal to lambda. Third one, phi of u lambda is less than phi of u plus epsilon by lambda into d of u comma u lambda into u not equal to u lambda. Invariance of Euler's equation. Suppose a functional I of y of x is equal to integral from a to b f of x y y dash dx is transformed by replacing the independent variable or by a simultaneous replacement of the desired function and the independent variable. Then the extremals of the functional are found from Euler equation for the transformed integrand. Herein lies the principle of the invariance of Euler's equation. If x is equal to x of u comma v, y is equal to y of u comma v and determinant of xu, xv, yu, yv not equal to 0, then integral f of x y y dash dx is equal to integral f of x of uv comma y of uv comma yu plus yv vu dash all divided by xu plus xv vu dash into xu plus xv vu dash du, which is equal to integral phi of u comma vu dash du. Now the extremals of the original functional are determined from Euler's equation for integral phi of u comma vu dash du. That is dou phi by dou v minus d by du of dou phi by dou u dash equal to 0. Take for instance the problem of finding the extremals of the functional I of y is equal to integral from 0 to log 2 e raised to minus x into y dash square minus e raised to x into y square dx. Its Euler equation is y double dash minus y dash plus e raised to 2x into y is equal to 0. While its solution poses some problem, a substitution x is equal to log u, y is equal to v reduces the functional to I1 of v is equal to integral from 1 to 2 v dash square minus v square du. Its Euler equation v double dash plus v is equal to 0 readily gives rise to the solution v is equal to c1 cos u plus c2 sin u. A passage to original coordinates gives the required solution for extremals as v is equal to c1 into cos e raised to x plus c2 into sin e raised to x. Now you have some questions, try to answer. First one, explain variational principle for the equation y double dash of x is equal to f of x comma y dash. Second one, what is the minimizing sequence for the functional I of y of x is equal to integral from a to b p of x into y dash square plus q of x into y square dx. Third one, minimize the functional integral f of x of t comma x dash of t comma t dt where t1 less than or equal to t less than or equal to t2 where x of t varies along a parameterized arc gamma of finite length. Fourth one, explain the invariance of Euler's equation. For your higher study, you may refer the books given here. First one, Differential Equations and Calculus of Variations by L. Elsholtz, Mir Publishers, Moscow, 1973. Second one, Calculus of Variations with Applications by A. S. Gupta, Prentice Hall, New Delhi, 2009. Third one, Complementary Variational Principles by A. M. Arthurs, Clarendon Press, Oxford, 1970. Fourth one, Differential Equations and Their Applications by Zafar Hassan, Prentice Hall, New Delhi, 2006. Hope that you have followed this session. We will meet again with another topic. Thank you.